I know, I'm crazy. Another Get Ready with me. Today, very chill. I'm not focusing so much on the products. I will use some out of my focus box. I decided to grab a Raban quad again because I was not feeling it today to test out one of the new shades or new palettes that I have. So I'm grabbing this green quad from Raban. This is the Paradise Lost and Found because I have a green eyeshadow in my focus basket and I have used it 2 times so far since the beginning of April. So to get some more use out of it, I thought let's do a green eye look today. Totally out of my comfort zone, but I will make it work. And in this Get Ready With Me, there is actually a bit of a topic going on because I want to talk about social media and mental health. So I highly advise you grab a drink. I myself have a smoothie. I just bought a smoothie maker and now I can't stop. And before anybody is commenting, I will not give you a specific trigger warning. First of all, trigger warnings, and there is a study out there, a scientific study. Trigger warning is actually making the triggers pop up much faster and much more intense. So, trigger warnings actually lead people to react way more intense than they would have without. And please don't argue with me on that. There are scientific studies on that. I'm not talking about personal opinions. Everybody is different. I refer to scientific studies. But I think in general, this video will cover a couple of mental health topics. So again, no trigger warning. But if you feel uncomfortable with these topics, sorry, I have to shake my primer. My arm is not hurting. If you feel uncomfortable with these topics, maybe this video is not for you because I will talk about these things in a very scientific way for good reason. And let me explain why. In case you're new here and you didn't know that, I have a hair on my face. Well, that was not the news, but I am also a student. I do study psychology of communications, and part of this, of course, has to do when we're talking about communications with online communication or any type of communication that is done with a digital device. Could be email, the phone, SMS, WhatsApp, and whatnot. And of course, communication through social media and social media use in general. I actually even have a course at online marketing and social media management. So, which is quite interesting because a lot of these techniques I just can use for myself here. One of these courses that I had to finish for my degree was society and digital media. And for that course, there was not an exam or something, there was a literature study paper that I had to file in. So there was no script, no specific book or so. There was just a topic, and I had to research for this topic to write a paper with 7 to 10 pages. And there were a couple different topics that I was able to choose from. I specifically chose the topic on how mental health is affected by digital media. And I just said it, digital media is quite a big topic. Digital media can also mean the excessive use of your phone, the excessive TV watching, and so basically every kind of use of media that is digital, that is not on a paper, that is not a video, DVD, whatever. The definition of digital media is basically every type of media that uses a code or some kind of programming language to make pictures and text into that code and then translate that code on the other person's device again into a picture. And with that definition, the field of digital media is like way outside of this frame. It is so fucking big. And with this question, I basically kind of focused only on the site social media because this is part of digital media. So, to discuss the question what the effects of digital media, or in my case, social media, are for mental health, I started by making my own thoughts about this. I started to think of what different effects can I think of when I think about this topic, and I was a bit shocked that my own first thoughts mainly covered negative aspects: depression, being lonely, jealousy, cyberbullying, and all that shit. And just a bit later, after in my head I had basically counted these negative aspects, I started to think of the positive impacts. Communities, helping each other, being able to express an art form or an hobby or whatever when you have nobody outside of the digital media to talk to about this. Like in my example with makeup, I have nobody in my real life who's so obsessed with makeup as I am. They admire my looks that I do, but they all basically say, yeah, I don't have the time to, I wouldn't spend that money. And that is totally fine. There are people who are collecting Lego or something else that is super expensive, and if that is their hobby, I would never spend that much money on Lego, even though I would love to build something with my husband. But if this is their hobby, I'm happy with them, and they can do with their money whatever the fuck they want. And when you write scientific papers of a topic like this, you cannot just say, okay, this is the effect, this, because of this and that. You need to prove that. So that means you need to start research, real scientific studies where someone was questioning exactly this. And when I did my research, I found so many studies on how social media is affecting people's lives in a negative way. It took me probably 2 or 3 hours of intense research to find a scientific, peer-reviewed journal or case study or scientific report or something like that for positive impacts of social media. And honestly, I was shocked because of that. I have the feeling that in our society, social media has such a bad vibe. It doesn't matter if it is just that you connect through social media to different people. I don't know how it is in your generations, depending on if you're older or younger than me. But I remember that, for example, when I told my parents I want to meet up with this and that person, and they were like, oh, where you got to know them? Online. They would always roll their eyes because for them, getting to know people online was different to getting to know people offline. And I could go much more into detail now because there is this theory of your social capacities. I think it's even called the social capacity theory, something like that. But it says that with the relationships that we build in our social community, there are two types. We have these loose types of relationships. It's honestly, it's quite hard to kind of translate things that I think in German here in the scientific way to translate into English. So please excuse if I make any mistakes or so if I say things double. It's my head, I need to work with it. But that one part means you have like loose relationships with online people, and they are there for people to learn, to connect over hobbies, to basically open your world, getting new views, new point of views to add into your truth and your point of view. And the other part then is deep bonded friendships. And that theory says that these deep bonded friendships can only be formed when you're talking face to face. Personally, I highly disagree on that theory because I don't think that is the case. I have bonded friendships with people that I never saw in real life. We didn't even talk to each other by phone. We are just messaging through Instagram or later on through WhatsApp or iMessage. Not gonna lie, I kind of lost track on where I was before that theory. While I was researching these scientific magazines and papers and studies and stuff, A lot of them, especially, let's talk about depression first. Depression and social media. Is there a correlation or not? And there are countless studies from the States, China, even Korea, Japan, I don't know. Every part of the world is basically doing studies on how social media usage and depression are correlated. There is a very interesting thing going on with each of these studies. I read, I think, 4 or 5 for my own paper, and every single one of these studies had one thing in common. Every study said, yes, there is a correlation between social media usage and depression. But none of these studies was able to point out what that correlation is. You just have to imagine, you cannot sit down and say, oh, because you're using so much social media, you get depressed. Or when there is a depressed person, you cannot say, oh, you're depressed because you use social media so much, because you're active on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That is not the case. You have to think about so many other points. Is there maybe a genetic reason? I know some people still roll their eyes, but mental health issues can be genetically given from your parents to you. If your parents or one person in your family was highly affected by mental health issues, chances are high that this genetic code deep inside your DNA is given to you, and that you are maybe more prone to get mental health issues too. Does not have to be the case, that is not a rule. You're prone to that. Again, it depends on so much more. How is your social environment? Where do you grow up? Do you have a supporting group? Do you have a good stress management? Do you have a good life management? Are there obstacles in your life, in your, I don't know, in your childhood, in your youth, in your adult life, that make life harder for you than it is for others? And same is just with social media. None of these studies was able to point out whether or not there is another factor, a additional factor for these people they had in their study to make them prone to mental health issues. Every study had in common that they were not able to find out what the other factor is, because most of these studies are done the same. You take a group of people mainly in a certain age range, so for example, I don't know, 18 to 30 or something like that. And then you just watch them and their behavior on social media for a certain amount of time. Usually these studies are done in the long term, so we're talking 6 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years. And here is another thing of these. In these studies, they only look towards their social media usage. Is the social media usage increasing? Is it decreasing? This stuff. They do not watch the other factors around in the environment of the people. Did they lose their job in between? Was there a sudden death in family? Was there something else, something life-changing, a life-changing event that maybe affected their health issues too? And all of these studies at the end lead to one very important question that, in my opinion, is the same. I don't know if you have this in your language. What was first, chicken or egg? Do you have this question too? I know in German it's like a common saying, the Huhn oder Ei Frage. You know, was the chicken first or was the egg first? Which one was there first? My personal answer is the chicken was first. But that's a whole nother thing to discuss. But the question that a lot of scientists are here asking is, what was there first, social media or depression? Were these people depressed or had they symptoms of a depression and then went into social media and increased their usage because they found other people to talk to? Or were their symptoms increased because of their high usage? This question, in all those case studies, cannot be answered. But it's not only depression that is researched here in the social media world. Let's talk about low self esteem and the social comparison theory. In 1954, Leon Festinger did a theory that is called the social comparison theory. In that social comparison theory, he basically stated that everybody is comparing themselves to somebody in their social environment. Could be with your parents, could be with your friends, like with close friends, your partner, maybe even a workmate that is higher or lower than you or in the same position, something like that. In this theory, it's also said that there are two types of comparison. One is upwards and the other one is a downwards comparison. In the upwards comparison, you are comparing your life and yourself and your skills with people who are maybe more successful than you, who have a higher position in your job than you, something like that. And with a downwards comparison, it's the other way around. You compare yourself to people who are less successful than yourself, who have less money, who have a lower position, something like that. Just a little fun info. The reason for those trash TV reality shows that they are so freaking successful on TV is social comparison. It's the downward social comparison because people are able to look down on others and compare their lives and make themselves kind of beware of the fact how much better they are. People don't do this on purpose most of the time, but they still do. Seeing other people on TV who have a kind of worse life than you or that are made fun of. I don't know, do you have this format in your TV, Farmer Looks for a Wife? It's a German TV format. I don't know where this originated in. Maybe it's from another country, but it's basically a trash TV series where farmers are looking for a wife. And I never watched it, but I saw kind of clips on the internet, and there are certain persons who get such a ridiculous background there, and they're made fun of in TV. They get money so that the TV show can make fun of them, and people laugh about this. And of course, they start to compare themselves to this. This is social comparison. You automatically feel better when those persons in TV look worse than you. Maybe you're even in a similar environment than these persons, but then you still can feel better because they're made fun of on TV. And please do me a favor, if you comment on this, please don't tell me I'm not doing this. You're doing it. Not on purpose. Again, your subconscious is doing this. It's normal. That's psychology. With that upward comparison, you're basically comparing yourself to somebody who is much more successful than you, and then you maybe look out for things that these persons do different to you. And the positive thing that can happen here is that you want to learn from these people. You question, what do they different, what skills do they have. You start to learn, maybe you start to look up at them and just try to get better so that you can maybe get a raise at work, maybe, I don't know, get a better position, something like that. But with that upward comparison, there is also a negative side effect called the contrast formation. I just translated that now word by word to English. I don't know if there is another English specific word for this, so I'm sorry if there is. I just try to translate the best I can. And in this contrast formation, this is basically the effect that you're not only looking up to people who might have a better life than you, who might have more money than you, who have much better, chances than you to get somewhere, to see something. And instead of questioning, okay, what can I change to receive that too, to also have this, I don't know, to do this chance to go to the Met Gala. I don't, just kidding. Just a very, very weird example. They get jealous. They get jealous and their own self-esteem is pressured down because out of this jealousy, they feel less worthy. They think that they're not good enough. They think that they're doing a lot of things wrong in their life so that they do not deserve this, they can't get this. They feel worse than this person. And the reason why this happens in the first place is very simple. It is because on social media, we just see the best of the best. And this comparison behavior is not only in your like private friendship thing, like when you see your friend from school or a workmate, maybe you're following each other on Instagram and you see how they post pictures from their vacation. And maybe even if you work in the same place and you're like, how the fuck do they afford this vacation? I work in the same position and I can't afford that. You only see 0.5% of their lives. You do not see everything. You can't see everything. You are comparing yourself, like not you in general, you know what I mean? You're comparing yourself to 0.5% of a whole life of a different person without knowing the other circumstances. Maybe they won that vacation. Maybe the husband or wife of that person you are comparing yourself with has a lot of money. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe they also saved money for the past 10 years to afford this vacation. You don't know the circumstances, but still you are comparing yourself to this tiny part of the life that these people decided to share online. And it's the same thing with well-known people, actors and shit, and singers, content creators, people you follow online. They decide what they are showing you from their lives. They will not show you the bad sides, of course not. Let's take a small turn into group and social psychology. It is normal for people that when they are surrounded with a group of other people, that they try to show a version of themselves that is the best. You are in a group of your friends or in a group of workmates, not trying to highlight what's going wrong in your life. You try to highlight what's going good in your life. But it's just different if you try this in a group meeting. I don't know, you're going out for dinner, and of course, everybody's saying how good their job is, how good the family is, how good everything in life is going. When you do this online, you are constantly bombarded with photos, not only with people who are just talking about this. They will show you pictures. Maybe they take multiple pictures of one vacation and then they post these beautiful pictures on, I don't know, on the ocean, whatever, it doesn't matter, in different time frames so that you get the feeling of like, what the fuck? Are they constantly on vacation? No, it's old pictures. Did you know that there is, I think in LA it is, there is a jet, a private jet that you can rent? Not to fly around, no, to take pictures in. To sit there in a seat and to mimic that you are going on vacation in a private jet. Was, I think 1 or 2 years ago, a girl who was faking a vacation in Bali or something, and all she basically did was taking photos at an IKEA. I just want to say that. What I want to say in general is people, of course, tend to be, when others are around, the best version of themselves. That is a normal behavior in online and in offline groups. It has nothing to do with social media or so. But the difference is between doing this in real life and doing this online, you have a bigger audience. And because you get this confirmation from your audience, this constant praising of your own person, you start to lose this line between real life or your real me and your social media me. Personally, I think that is the reason why so many content creators kind of get a bit entitled when they do this online full time thing. They completely lose track with real life. They lose touch with reality. They just do not have the reality in their pockets again. I don't know if that sentence makes sense, but I think you know what I mean. They just lose the connection outside of the online bubble. Because when you're constantly praised by others, when there's constantly commenters who are telling you how great you are, how beautiful you are, how amazing you are, how fucking genius you are, you start to believe that. Not that you're not genius, not that you're not beautiful. That is not what I want to say. I just want to say that the life, the persona that you show online, the more you show it and the more you get confirmation for this and the more you get praised for this, the more you become that persona, which can have positive impacts on the self-esteem of a content creator. I'm honest with you, my personal confidence boosted up there in the past year because I get so much confirmation for what I do from you guys. But I also am well aware of the fact that what I show online, the pictures, the hauls, I don't know, last week when I went to Apple or so, this is just a part of my life. This is not everything I show you. This is not my whole life. I have my problems, I have my difficulties, and I have motherfucking big problems going on here. But that's real life and that's online. The online confirmation that I get from viewers and stuff is boosting my self-confidence so that I have a much better feeling towards my other problems, that I can solve them, that everything will be fine at the end. But I'm also still working in a real job and I still have contact to people outside this online world and they're not constantly praising me. They're keeping me to the ground, and I think some influencers, some bigger ones, really need to be tied to the ground back again. But that is not what I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about the effect that it has on viewers. All I want to say is I don't want to discuss now about how content creators afford makeup, how much makeup they buy, and how much money they spend. I fucked up that. I will correct that one moment. What I want to say is you see only a part of the truth. People see only a part of what's going on. And they compare themselves to this part. You cannot compare yourself to the smallest percentage ever that you see of a person's life. That is, first of all, not fair for yourself and also not fair for that person, kind of. Do you know what I mean? I hope you do. But what I wanted to say is social comparison is one of the reasons why there is a decreasing in the self-esteem, in what people think they are worthy because they watch so much social media, because they are on social media. And if you are sitting there and you're like, yeah, I'm not affected by that, that's fine. That's very, very personal. By the way, that inner corner highlight is the Made by Mitchell Drip Drip. This is actually a highlighter, but I love a good highlighter and I love glitter, but that is a bit too much. I'm using this as liquid eyeshadow, actually. I am guilty myself of this comparison thing. Okay, how do I say this now without sounding like a bitch? No, we want full honesty. Since I do this here online, I of course have connected to other content creators that either started before me or that started maybe with me or that started after me. And when I see how they get more PR than I get, or in general, they get PR and I don't, they get more money through affiliate codes than I do, because we actually we talk about this. I think that is completely fine. We should here in this world talk so much more about money. I don't understand why this is such a forbidden topic. I think we should talk about money very open, to just maintain an open communication and a open culture. But I sometimes feel the jealousy coming. I try then to compare myself with them and be like, what am I doing so wrong? Why am I not that good like these? Why are they so much more successful than I am? And thanks to my knowledge about this topic, I then try to cut that off immediately. I just try to tell myself, it's fine. I'm just doing completely different content than they do. I have a much more specific viewership maybe than they have. I will, of course, now with this topic not say names, but I have this one friend who is very successful in what she's doing. She makes a good money with her affiliate links. She makes a good money on that one platform, that, the ShopMy one. And sometimes I'm a bit jealous of her because she is making that money. But then I just remember, I get that. Why is that? First of all, she puts much more effort in posting links. That's the first thing. She is so much more posting her affiliate link when there are specific things, like the Natasha Denona. She had like a Mother's Day sale or something, and she immediately put up a story with her affiliate link and code to Natasha Denona. And I was reading that newsletter and I was sitting on my couch being like, yeah, I deleted that email. So it's my fault. Of course, I get that. She is so much more organized in this than I am, and is putting much more effort into this. Second of all, she has a completely different style. She is completely different in her taste, in her style, in her whole audience than I am. And that is okay. That is completely fine. We have our own paces, and there is no need to be jealous of anybody. Instead, then I cut off the jealousy and I'm happy for her. I know this sounds super generic and easy. It's a learning process. It took me a while. I'm 33 now and I went through so many careers and so many jealous topics. I mastered it. Now I can enjoy others people's success. When I was younger, I for sure couldn't. No. So in general, if you're yourself a creator or not, if you are a viewer or not, just do not compare yourself in this way to others. You are perfect as you are. Your pace is perfect. And if you want to change something because you are unsatisfied because of your own thoughts, not because you want to compare to somebody else, not because you want to be better than somebody else, then that's fine. Then learn from those people. Social learning is a thing. It's completely normal. Another big topic that I found some research was the so-called FOMO. I think especially in the beauty space, FOMO is a thing, and what I, in my researches, just realized is that the way the beauty community uses FOMO is completely different to the psychological description of FOMO. The definition of FOMO basically is fear of missing out, yes, but it is the fear of missing out a social event from persons you like. Maybe they just have a nice experience, a evening out. Let's say they have a friend group, they go to dinner, evening out. FOMO here is kicking in when you are not invited to that event. And then they post online from that event and you were not invited. That is FOMO. FOMO is not the fear of missing out a beauty release. We're just using FOMO in a different context. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it's a different context. The psychological definition is a bit different. The psychological definition of FOMO actually causes people to use social media more because they don't want to be left out. They don't want to miss any event. They don't want to miss anything online. And that can cause actually social media addiction. Yes, social media addiction is a thing. Social media and internet addiction is caused mostly by FOMO, by the fear of not being online when something is happening. Personally, I don't have a FOMO problem in the original definition way, and I'm personally working on my beauty FOMO, on the release FOMO. That is a topic I am personally working on. There is another form that comes from FOMO, and that is, you cannot do this little word, it's the fear of being missed. So FOBM, FOB. It's FOBN. Fear of being missed basically means you are afraid that others, your followers or your friends, depends on the context you are in social media, will miss you or will not know enough about you. It is the fear that you are not sharing enough on social media so that they ask questions like, where are you? So that they, or basically, not they ask question, where are you? Basically that they lose track of you. The fear of being missed causes the fear inside that you are not relevant enough to your friend group, to followers, whatever. And I think personally, this is not scientific, this is my personal opinion here. I think that is the reason why so many creators, why so many bigger influencers, the bigger they get, the more they overshare. I think because they are afraid that at a certain point, and because there are so many other content creators, so many other influencers, that their followership loses track of them. I didn't apply blush, what the fuck? And that they forget them. So they start to overshare that they're talked about. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not too sure if there is a scientific research on this. If not, maybe I should do one. I think I talked enough about the negative consequences and how this is kind of all connected. Let's talk about the positive thing. Aside from scientific researches, I think one of the biggest positive things of social media that affects your mental health is the community aspect. I never in my life before was in a community like this. I never in my life before experienced so much support from people. The passion that I am able to share online that is inspiring others to follow their passion too. I will say something about that in a second. To branch out into new things and to share opinions with me. I, again, will not say names, but there is a subscriber, a viewer of my stuff, someone I share messages every now and then, and she actually messaged me that I inspired her to start her own YouTube channel because she wants to just talk about this. She has a vision, and she had some questions about, camera and shit. I cannot put into words what this caused in me. The happiness, the feeling of being so honored, the feeling of I can do something, I am able to influence people to live their passions, to be adventurous, to do something new, to follow their heart. Some might just laugh at it because it's just makeup content. And honestly, It's just fucking makeup. To me, makeup is something very, very special because it helps me to express myself. It helps me to be myself. It helps me to live a part of the creativity that is inside me that I cannot express in a different way. And it's just fun to transform yourself. That's the other thing. But being able, for me, by staying here online, by taking my time to do a freaking video, to just talk about shit like today, and then inspire people, if this is not a positive effect of social media, what else? Let's dive now a bit again into a psychological theory for one of the most important, in my opinion, positive effects. And that is the COR theory from Stephen Hopfall, or conservation of resources. This is a theory about stress management, and the theory basically defines stress as a changing of your resources. And when I say resources, I'm talking about emotional resources. It could be money, it could be things like physical resources, could be your home, could be a social changing. As soon as one of these resources has a change, has a big change and big impact, then you're feeling stressed. And one part of the COR theory is that there is a good way of managing this stress when you are in a social stable environment, because other persons of your social group, for example of your family, can share their resources with you. Could be by helping your time managing, like taking tasks off of you to help you, or could be, I don't know, when, I don't know, you're, okay, very extreme example, your house burned down. So a big resource is not there anymore. So maybe you have parents where you can move to. That basically is this social sharing thing. And there is a scientific research on that. It's a whole book. It's very interesting, from 2018, where a person, unfortunately I forgot her name, she did the research on Facebook. And she said that with the COR theory and the social environment that is helping you to manage your resources, you can do the same thing online in Facebook groups. She did research in Facebook groups, in different ones to different topics, and she was able to see the same effect of sharing resources. Facebook groups, that is what she was able to prove, work the same way as a offline resource social group, like a family, because you can share your problems, you can discuss your problems, and others will come in and help you with their resources. And I think it's not only Facebook groups, it's any social media community. And again, if this is not a positive impact, what else? Excuse the hair. I just kind of wiggle through it. And that's it. Sadly, more negative than positive things. So please answer me a question. That is very, very important for me in this video. What are your personal, most positive influences that social media has on you? Let me please know down below. Let's just share some positivity. Social media is not the bad thing that a lot of those researchers trying to tell, that a lot of the times media is trying to tell. Social media has its risks, but so has every social group outside of digital media too. Please share all your positivity that you have, and please make sure you subscribe, and I hope I can see you in the next video.